My most memorable match win was probably the 2000, I'm going to get the year wrong of this, it's probably the 2017 Nationals against Paul Brady. You know, just, it was a game. Now, I think I can win every game regardless of who I'm playing, but you know, the odds are kind of stacked in my favor. You know, I like to be a realist as well. And you know, in no scenario did I ever really think that I would ever beat him that day. You know, and I don't think I should have beaten him that day, but you know, I got lucky, very, very lucky. And he kind of just, you know, let a lot of error, like just made some really crucial errors in the tiebreaker, and it just kind of got away from him. But you know, to me, first big win, you know, to a player that I've always looked up to. You know, it was just a very memorable moment. It was like a changing of like my career essentially, you know, saying that I could really turn it into something good and better, you know, it's something that I always wanted. And I mean, I've definitely had, not regrets, but you know, I wish I'd kind of won a tournament or two that, you know, I'd gotten away from me like Paul did that day. But, you know, I definitely took off after that point and became a better player, I would say.
I've had some good wins this season, but like I think collegiates, when I won in Portland was big. You know, I had my coach there, my mom, my dad. And it was my last chance to win a collegiate title, and I beat Martin. He wasn't feeling too good, maybe. I think he was sick or something. He wasn't at his 100%, but I'll take a win.
I would say like maybe the All-Ireland doubles final, like it's a recent one, so it kind of springs to mind. It was 2023 and we had an 11-10 tiebreaker win, so it was really close and exciting. And again, the crowd were getting into it, and it was like the first senior final in the new handball centre in Croke Park as well. And I was playing with my good friend Ashton O'Keefe, so yeah, we've been playing together since we were 8 years old, so that was a special one.
Yeah, last year's Nationals final, I think, and which was merged with the World Championships against Sean at 9-7 in the tiebreaker to, you know, get those last 2 points and win my first US Nationals and World Singles title was definitely something that's clear in my mind right now. But you know, Players Championship win the previous year against Killian, and probably at home in Ireland, my All-Ireland Senior Championship win in 2018. Those would be probably the three that come to mind.
I would say my most memorable match was probably when I played Danielle about a year ago, and it was just one of the longest matches I feel like I've ever had. We went tiebreaker, and she was up on me probably by a few points, and I think in the tiebreaker I just had this mindset of like, just give her a game. Like, I didn't even have a mentality like I was even gonna win it, but I just kept playing 1 point at a time, and I ended up winning in the tiebreaker, and it was probably a 2.5 hour match, and so it just was one of those that you worked so hard for so long, and then to actually get the win, it was incredible. And it was my first time beating her in 4-wall as well, so that was an accomplishment.
I think one of my most memorable wins is against Charlie Shanks, and this was about 12 years ago here in Salt Lake. That's kind of like where I first started breaking in. I was like a no-name seed. I was playing, you know, the top player at the time in the qualifier, which was Andy Nett, and he already had like one of the best serves in the game at that time. But I had to play Charlie Shanks right after, and he was already, you know, taking Brady to tiebreaker, winning a lot of pro stops and stuff. So. Surprisingly enough, I ended up winning that match 12 years ago, and then I was able to break into the quarters, and that's pretty much the beginning of my pro career.
My most memorable match win was winning the All-Ireland Championship last year. That's something that has been a goal for a long time, so to achieve that is something that I'll definitely remember forever.
Most memorable match win, I'd say probably doubles, me and Danielle. I've said it a bunch of times, so I was thinking of maybe changing it, but I think that's definitely the one. Me and Danielle went to Vegas for the first 3-wall tournament there, and we played the favorites, Dave Chapman and Sean Lenning, and we beat him in a tiebreaker. So we were young, so it was crazy. That was a lot of fun. That tournament used to be a lot of fun. So yeah, I think that might be my most memorable. Then after that, maybe my first pro stop or winning in Juarez. I've had a few memorable ones.
Probably for me, it was winning the Irish Collegiates, just because I think when I first started playing, that was kind of the tournament I always strive towards was the American Collegiates, but I went 0 for 4 there, but in my first chance in the Irish Collegiates, I won it, and for me personally, that was just a really big deal to win one of those.
It was the Worlds in 2015. I was in the finals against Sandy Ng, who was also my doubles partner. And we had won a couple of nationals. We've won Worlds, Junior. It was also my rival that I played with since I was, with and against since I was like a junior. And that first game, I just played awful. And she beat me the first game. And then the second game, it was looking like it was going to be the same thing. And she had me, I think, 18-2. And I just kept like, I remember the mantra was just like, get her down, make a point, get her down, make a point. And I ended up coming back and I won 21-19. And then tiebreaker comes around and it was just like 11-9 I won. And it was just like, there were some like, so like crucial calls that like, it came down to it too, like which you never want to happen, but like winning that, I can't, like my smile was so like tight, I didn't like, am I smiling right? Because I was just so happy, like it's so like amazed that happened. So yeah, that one I think is always gonna stick with me as like my most, like my favorite win ever.
You know, you won't believe this, but my most memorable match win was a 5th place semifinal in New York, 2017. I knew I had to win the 5th place playoffs to get to #1, and I was playing Sean Lenning in the 5th place semifinals in New York, and I was down 23-15, and I knew I had to win that match and I had to win the next match to have a chance at #1, and I was thinking to myself, what happened here? I mean, Sean was basically playing with one hand. He had an injured left arm, so basically playing right-handed and just tapping the ball with his left. And yet here I am, and I was so close, closest I've ever been to #1, and I came back and won that match, and it's kind of a blur. I just won 10 points in a row very quickly, and I remember thinking, wow, it's like I got a chance now. And then the next day I played Danielle in the 5th place final, and I won that, played really strong. And then Paul Brady beat Killian in the final, and that got me to #1. So I'd say that was probably it. That match against Sean in the 5th place semis when I came back from 23-15 to win.
I think it has to be against Ray and Juarez. I think it was 2018 in the breaker, and it just felt like we were playing for like 3 hours in there, and just the intensity of the match, and man, it was just so many emotions going through me, just being back home and having everybody cheering for me, and being able to pull a match like that off, like that was great.
I'd have to go with last weekend. It wasn't a pro stop, but it felt like one. I had to play Max, Sam, and then Shorty in the finals, and last tournament at the old club, and I've never been so emotional. It was a tough thing. Realizing that was the last match I'd play in that building. It meant a lot, and didn't know how much it meant until it was over with. But it was a big deal for me.